Long before European banks, before Wall Street, before modern currencies, entire worlds rose and fell on African gold, salt, and knowledge. While Europe struggled through the early Middle Ages, African empires commanded global trade routes, dazzled foreign travelers, and funded cities so rich that their rulers became legends whispered across continents. This is not myth. This is forgotten power. The Ghana Empire, c. 300 to 1200 CE. The empire that controlled gold without touching it. The ancient Ghana Empire, known to its people as Wagadu, was not named after gold, yet it controlled the world's most valuable supply of it. Located between the Senegal and Niger rivers, Ghana mastered something revolutionary: control without ownership. Mind-blowing facts. The king of Ghana owned all gold nuggets. Commoners could only trade gold dust. Taxes were charged twice, once on goods entering the empire and again when they left. Arab traders wrote that the king's court was guarded by dogs wearing gold collars. The capital, Kumbi Sala, had two cities, one royal, one Islamic, showing early religious coexistence. Historic turning point. By the 11th century, climate change, internal strain, and pressure from the Almoravid movement weakened Ghana. But its greatest legacy was not its fall, it was what it inspired. Because from Ghana's ashes rose Mali. The Mali Empire, circa 1235 to 1600 CE. The empire that made the world stare. Mali exploded onto history's stage after Sundiata Keita defeated the Sasso king in 1235 CE at the Battle of Kirina. What followed was an empire so wealthy that it rewrote global economics. Mind-blowing facts. Mali controlled over half of the old world's gold supply. Mansa Musa, crowned in 1312, is widely considered the richest human being who ever lived. His 1324 pilgrimage to Mecca gave away so much gold in Egypt that it collapsed local economies for years. Mali turned Timbuktu into a global center of learning with universities, libraries, and scholars from across the Islamic world. Historic turning point. Mali's power slowly weakened due to succession disputes and external pressure. But its systems, law, education, trade, became blueprints. And one empire learned those lessons better than all others. The Songhai Empire, circa 1464 to 1591 CE. Africa's largest empire you were never taught. Songhai did not inherit Mali's greatness, it surpassed it. Under Sunni Ali, a fierce military genius, Songhai expanded faster than any African empire before it. Mind-blowing facts. Songhai became the largest empire in African history, stretching over modern Mali, Niger, Nigeria, and beyond. Askia Muhammad I introduced bureaucratic governance, standardized weights, and Islamic law. Timbuktu reached its intellectual peak, with tens of thousands of manuscripts, many still preserved today. Scholars were often wealthier than generals. Historic turning point. In 1591, Morocco invaded with gunpowder weapons. Songhai fell, not from weakness but from technology. But while West Africa rose and fell, stone cities were rising in the south. Great Zimbabwe, circa 1100 to 1450 CE. The stone city that shattered colonial lies. For centuries, outsiders refused to believe Africans built Great Zimbabwe, a city of massive stone walls constructed without mortar. They were wrong. Mind-blowing facts. The great enclosure walls reached 36 feet high, engineered with mathematical precision. Zimbabwe controlled gold trade with China, Persia, and the Indian Ocean world. The famous Zimbabwe birds symbolized royal authority and spiritual power. The name Zimbabwe means house of stone. Historic turning point. Environmental pressure and shifting trade routes led to decline, but the architecture still stands, defying erasure. And far to the northeast, another empire minted its own coins. The Aksumite Empire, c. 100 to 940 CE. Africa's forgotten superpower. Located in present-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, Aksum was listed by Persian scholars as one of the four great powers of the ancient world, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. Mind-blowing facts. Aksum minted its own gold and silver coins, a mark of global power. It adopted Christianity as a state religion in the 4th century, before most of Europe. Its towering stone obelisks weighed hundreds of tons, carved from single stones. Aksum controlled Red Sea trade connecting Africa, Arabia, and Asia. Historic turning point. Trade shifts and environmental change reduced Aksum's reach, but its cultural legacy still shapes Ethiopia today. These empires were not isolated. They traded with the world. They educated generations. They shaped global wealth. So ask yourself this: if African empires were this powerful, why were their stories buried? who benefited from forgetting them. And what else has history chosen not to tell you? Because the deeper you dig into Africa's past, the more the world's present begins to make sense. To watch the full video, click the link on our bio, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting hidden historical fact.